wasn't hanging. I'm David Pumpkins, and I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
This is Automated Thought. Hey everyone. Well, as you know, Donald Trump has been elected President of the United States. Those are some words that I never expected to say in my entire life. If you're wondering whether or not I was distraught on election night, the answer is yes, I was. You could have knocked me over with a wet noodle. Before last Tuesday, I was pretty happy at the thought that I was going to make one more video about Donald Trump, and then I was going to ignore him forever. However, that's clearly not the case. The guy's going to be with us in some form or fashion for quite some time. And ever since then, I've been mentally paralyzed trying to make a video. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because there's simply too much to say. Every time I begin talking about Donald Trump, there are endless avenues of thought that careen off in a million different directions. And instead of making a 3-hour-long video with all of them, I'm going to break them up into some little 10-minute segments. So this is the first video in what is unfortunately going to be an ongoing series. Trumpocalypse 1. Introduction to the Trumpocalypse. Now, my thesis statement here is that it is my belief that Donald Trump is most likely not going to make a good president. To all the people who listened to Donald Trump, who believed in his ideas, and who considered him a vastly superior choice to Hillary Clinton, I think you've been had. It is my opinion that Donald Trump is a liar and a charlatan who is telling you what you wanted to hear. You see, people tended to believe Donald Trump because he wasn't a politician. And all politicians lie, am I right? Well, the thing is, Donald Trump is a con man, and con men lie even more than politicians. Seriously, there are people who have tallied up the things he said and then compared them to reality. As a con man, he gets an even lower score in truth-telling than most politicians. That's bad. And I'm very confused as to why most people couldn't see this. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I have a better radar for it, because my father, he was a fast-talking piece of shit con man in the vein of Donald Trump. They're about the same age, too, or at least they would be if he was alive. But growing up with my father, I learned that there's this very distinct flavor of baby boomer con man who will tell you whatever you want to hear while hustling you at all times. Now, the good thing about Donald Trump being elected is that a lot of the truly evil shit that he talked about is not going to happen. There's not really going to be a gigantic wall. There's not going to be a blanket ban on all Muslims until we figure out what the heck is going on. We know what's going on. At this point, I'm not concerned that that minorities and gays and Mexicans and black people are going to suffer some sort of massive ongoing tyranny, apart from a few white nationalist lunatics who are having temper tantrums right now. And I'm not terribly concerned that Donald Trump is going to single-handedly start World War III. I assume, like most people, that the nuclear football that they give Donald Trump is just going to be like an old portable version of that old game Missile Command. What is this? How do I do this? How do I blow up Peru? You just press that button, sir. Yeah, I need to blow up Peru. I need to nuke them. They insulted me. We're going to nuke them. Okay, this is great. But yes, if you pay attention to what Donald Trump's fellow Republicans are saying, Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, they are very strongly walking back all of Donald Trump's crazy, evil promises. The bad news is that they're also walking back all his good promises. The day after Trump was elected, Mitch McConnell was on TV with his hideous turtle face saying, "Oh, yes, infrastructure? Infrastructure, no, that's not really high on the list. We're going to work with the president, but we're not going to do anything crazy. There's not going to be any overreach." Paul Ryan, he was giddy at the thought of achieving his life dream of phasing out Medicare. You think he'll be able to do that? It's entirely possible. I hope you Rust Belt voters don't like Medicare, because it may be going bye-bye in the next 4 years. And see, that is the main reason why I am utterly opposed to a Donald Trump presidency. I don't think he's going to put gay people in concentration camps. What I foresee is that the next 4 years are going to be a feeding frenzy on the side of the Republican Party, in which they do everything they can to take as much money away from Medicare and Social Security and funnel it back to their rich donors in the form of lowered taxes. They're going to increase military spending and probably leave us with an extra couple trillion on the national debt. The national debt, that thing that every conservative pretended to care about during 8 years of Obama and now doesn't care about now that Donald Trump is promising to blow it up. Yeah, that thing. It's going to be Republican business as usual, but on steroids. The rich are going to get richer, the poor are going to get poorer. And the tragic irony of that is that all the poor people who voted for Donald Trump, they are the ones most likely to do worse under his administration, while all the snotty elites that they thought they were voting against will most likely benefit from lowered tax rates. You voted for sticking it to them. No one's going to get stuck, okay? The poor people are going to lose, as always. Now, most of the conservatives I know, they're not even thinking that far ahead. Right now, they're just happy that they can say that, oh, liberals and feminists and social justice warriors, they're all crying. They're so upset. They can't handle the manliness of Donald Trump. Oh. One thing they don't realize is that for the first time, the rest of the world is laughing at us. Remember how the conservative media told us for 8 years that the world was laughing at Obama because he was, weak or something? That really wasn't the case, but they're laughing at us now. Trust me, they are. Go out and do some research. As for Vladimir Putin, he is over the moon. The Russian Duma was literally popping champagne when they found out that we had elected an incompetent clown who has no business being in the office and who probably has business dealings with Putin. The Russians are extremely happy about this, and that should make you unhappy. And as for all the conservatives saying that we liberals need to shut up and stop protesting because the election is over, it's over. No, nothing's over. It's just beginning. Again, you conservatives, you Obama haters, you basically created a model over the last 8 years in which the opposing party can oppose 100% of a president's agenda at all times. That didn't even exist under George W. Bush. George W. Bush was not opposed by a large segment of the population until the end of his presidency. But conservatives began protesting Obama on day one. They tried to make his job impossible, and they protested him all the way up to the end. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. And let's be real here. You say that Trump hasn't done anything yet, so there's no reason to protest him? This may come as a surprise to you, but Trump has said some very unusual and inflammatory things. Now, conservatives, I want you to just imagine this. Let's imagine that the Democrats elected some bizarre, unqualified billionaire named Ronald Crump or something. And throughout Ronald Crump's entire campaign, he said things like this. When I'm elected president, I'm going to get rid of all the guns. There's going to be no guns. Selling guns in America, illegal. Getting rid of all of them. We're going to melt them down. The police will come to your house, confiscate your guns. There's going to be 0% guns in America. We're going to vastly redistribute wealth, and vegetarianism is going to be mandatory. No more meat. Meat is inhumane, it's unethical, it's wasteful. There's going to be no guns and no meat in America. I guarantee it, day one. If the Democrats elected someone who was saying things like that, you would be opposing him, and you would have every right to do so. But at this point, considering how in flux Donald Trump's incoming presidency is, there's really no telling what he's going to do. The Republicans, obviously, are gleeful at having ultimate power again. But there's other signs that Donald Trump, that he may ally himself with a few progressive ideas. He's walked back his idea to completely repeal and replace Obamacare. Now he just wants to tweak it. I think that's great. If Donald Trump and the Republicans want to fix Obamacare, kind of like how they weren't willing to do in the last 4 years, if they wanted to put a new coat of paint on it, fix what needs to be fixed, and rename it Trumpcare, then hey, I'm all for it. I don't care who gets the credit so long as it's done. As pessimistic as I am about Donald Trump's presidency, I will give him a chance. If I see him standing up to Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and using the bully pulpit to demand real change, then I will be with him. However, if he just settles into cruise control and the only thing he cares about are tax cuts, then he's going to be a horrible president and you're going to regret ever electing him. Feminist tears are only so nourishing for so long. But hey, if Donald Trump is as bad as I suspect he might be, hey, liberals, I mean, this might be the last ride of these conservatives. If Donald Trump is as bad as we think he's going to be, then he's going to create a massive progressive backlash and create an entire generation of millennial voters who, if all these kids growing up, if their idea of what a Republican is Donald Trump, this horrible, leering, bizarre, orange-colored tyrant who's only on the side of rich people, that's going to help the Democratic Party in the long run. Like a lot of Democrats, I was happy that Trump got the nomination because I thought that it would damage the Republican Party, that it would damage them when he lost huge. Only he won huge. But they shouldn't start celebrating just yet because 4 years is not a long time, and Donald Trump may do even more damage in the presidency than outside of it. I know, that's kind of, trying to polish a turd at this point, but hey, we shall see. It's kind of funny. This election, this Donald Trump thing, one weird effect of it is that it makes me like The Force Awakens more. Does that sound silly? Well, let me explain. When The Force Awakens was released last year, I liked the movie, but like a lot of people, I was a little let down that it did seem to be kind of a retread of A New Hope. I assumed that the galaxy that you would find would be markedly different from the one at the end of Jedi. I thought it would be kind of like some of the expanded universe stuff where the Galactic Republic takes over and it's very peaceful, and then whoever the bad guys are, they start off as these kind of invisible insurgents that come out of nowhere, like Grand Admiral Thrawn, and they would regain power through ingenious means. But instead, you just have the rebellion's now called the Resistance, the Empire's called the First Order, and it seems extremely similar to how it was. I was a little depressed that Han and Leia were still fighting them as they always did, that nothing seemed to change. The First Order, they just built a bigger Death Star. At the time, I thought, that's not very imaginative. But now, I would never say it's prescient, but it does seem grimly appropriate. Things really aren't going to change. After living through 8 years of Bush and 8 years of Obama, I thought that as a nation we had kind of gotten past some of the stupidities that we had learned from. But now it seems that we're just going to keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Right now, some of my old conservative arch nemeses, they're older, they're in their 60s, maybe even their 70s, and they're treating this election as some sort of end point. One of them said, "The culture wars have been won forever." That Trump's America is going to take us back to the 1950s, and it will last forever. No, that's not going to happen. The pendulum is swinging back and forth, and in this case, it just swung in a very ugly direction. And guess what? It's going to swing back. I hope when I'm on my deathbed that it's swinging in the right direction, because then I can die thinking that the world will be in a better place. Maybe 4 years from now, we'll elect Tulsi Gabbard to the presidency, and she'll be running on a platform of single-payer universal health care. And then after that, it will go the other direction, and the next president after her will be some sort of cybernetic Dick Cheney abomination. At this point, there's no telling. That's the weird thing about this point in history. Nobody has any idea what the hell is going to happen. But the outlook is not good, if you ask me. I'm kind of back to my original wish about Donald Trump. If he can get anything good done, that'd be great. That's kind of the sick thing about all this. If Donald Trump wanted to introduce a public option to Trump Care, and raise the minimum wage, all his white followers would love it. They wouldn't see any cognitive dissonance whatsoever. But that's a subject for a whole other video. This one's gone on long enough. This is the introduction to the ongoing subject of Donald Trump. We're gonna have our eye on this motherfucker for a long time. As usual, if you enjoyed what you just heard, like, comment, and subscribe, to automated thought.
Ready or not, here we dance.